407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. This is the beginning to a famous speech spoken by our 16th president at a cemetery not too far from here during the Civil War. This is why Abraham Lincoln is my most admired person. Here you will see how a little ambition and wisdom can carry you a long way in achieving your dreams. I'm a big history buff, and I specifically like American history. First, I want to talk about how self-motivated and hardworking Lincoln was, then the Emancipation Proclamation he signed, and finally the Gettysburg Address he wrote and spoke. Not only was Lincoln's presidency commendable, but also his standards of life throughout his childhood and leading up to his presidency. Abraham Lincoln was a very hardworking and driven man. He taught himself law to become a lawyer. Now, back when he was growing up in little Illinois farm town, he didn't have access to the big-name law schools we all know today. So instead, he read and taught himself. He then opened his own practice as a lawyer and was very successful. Lincoln then decided to get involved in politics, and after hard work and ambition, Lincoln became our 16th Commander-in-Chief and led the way to ending slavery. Second, as the South began to get run out of resources and the war turned to Northern favor, Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation, freeing the African-American slaves from the South. Now, this is a win-win situation for Lincoln. He not only was able to end slavery for the first time in the United States, but as those young African-American men came to the North, they joined the Union Army and were some of the best soldiers that the Union Army had at the time. This decision and later signature was plate-worthy, but his remarks in the Gettysburg Cemetery are most commendable. Third, Lincoln wrote a short 270-word speech that we remember forever as the Gettysburg Address. At the cemetery dedication, he wasn't even the keynote speaker. Lincoln's short 2 minutes of remarks before the keynote left a legacy that we remember to this day. Now, Lincoln wasn't required to give those 2 minutes of remarks. He could have been in D.C. continuing to navigate the current war, but instead he chose to pay his respects and dues to the bloodiest battle in U.S. history. The Gettysburg Address is a very admirable speech, but would not be as important without the man who spoke those 270 words. I first talked about how hardworking and self-driven Lincoln was, then the Emancipation Proclamation he signed, and finally, arguably one of the shortest and most memorable speeches in U.S. history, Lincoln's Gettysburg Address. Finally, this nation, under God, shall have a new birth of freedom, and the government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth. Thank you.